Hello there. Welcome to the podcast. In today's conversation, I'm joined by Wendy Shore, and it's one of those that feels especially relevant. Whether you're just getting started in your business or you've been doing it for a while and still asking yourself, is this really what I want to be doing? Wendy Shore, an entrepreneur of over 30 years, has built and rebuilt her career multiple times, from accounting to running restaurants to consulting to now helping business owners grow through LinkedIn and AI. And what I loved most about this conversation is that it's not about having a perfectly mapped out plan. It's about what happens when things don't go according to plan and learning to trust that maybe what comes next could actually be better. We talk about losing your identity after a big career shift, why figuring out what you actually want is harder than we think, the real reason so many solopreneurs struggle to grow, and a super practical conversation around using LinkedIn, specifically the comments, as a way to build visibility in real relationships. If you've ever felt like you should have it more figured out by now, or you're questioning your direction, or you're trying to grow your business without burning yourself out, this one is going to hit home. Let's dive in. Welcome to Scale with Clarity, the podcast for entrepreneurs who are building a business and a life that actually feels good. I'm Brooke Cunninger, fractional CFO, strategist, and mom of three, and I've learned that scaling isn't just about hitting revenue milestones. It's about finding alignment between your big vision and your everyday reality. Each week, you'll hear honest conversations with founders who are redefining success on their own terms. We'll talk about the pivots, the aha moments, and the tough decisions behind the scenes, plus the surprising ways entrepreneurship becomes the greatest personal growth journey of all. Whether you're dreaming of leaving corporate, navigating the messy middle, or trying to grow without burning out, this show is here to help you scale with more clarity, confidence, and ease. Because building a business should expand you, not deplete you. Let's scale with clarity together. Wendy, hi, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming on here.
So happy to be here. So
We've been-
excited to talk to you.
It's always funny because for all of you listening, we talk for about 10 minutes before we hop on. So it's like, okay, let's rewind and talk about what we've already been talking about. But I was really excited to have Wendy come on for a number of reasons. But this is actually, on the day we're recording, is the day that your book has been released. So I'm extra excited to just talk about that. And you've had, the last month, a lot of stuff going on. You hit 2026 with a bang, I got to say. Like Q1 coming out strong. So I can't wait to see what the rest of the year has for you. But maybe to start, can you just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about just your business and what you do now?
Certainly. So for those who I have not met before, my name is Wendy Shore, rhymes with entrepreneur.
I love that. Okay, good. Easy to remember.
And I have been an entrepreneur and business owner for over 30 years. And, it's been a sort of progression. I was in the restaurant business for a long time, started a skincare company, a couple of other
That part
I
of your
got
story.
involved with. Yes, yes. That was during the pandemic, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so you've had a lot of different areas that we can dig into. I love that.
And today I work as a consultant and I help small business owners, solopreneurs, and founders to grow their business, to use LinkedIn, and to become recommended by people and by AI.
So good. And it's so, God, so many ways we can go with that, because that is just the hot topics nowadays for everyone trying to grow their business. But I want to start with you just had a TEDx talk, and I have it here. So it was titled, "It Wasn't the Plan, but What If It's Better?" And I was so watching it. First of all, I didn't know your story. You were a CPA to start too. You didn't mention that as your history. I was like, oh, there's so many ways. I love all the pivots that you just briefly mentioned, but why that topic? Why that title? What was it about that you said, this is what people need to hear right now?
Well, it wasn't my plan, right? And I thought I would be in the restaurant business forever. And when I left, and if you listen to the TED Talk, I kind of got pushed out. It wasn't my intention to leave, but I had a difference of opinion with four partners. So it was them against me. And I refused to compromise on my values, right? Not only that, but I was the face. So, a couple of the things that were really important to me was to give excellent value at a reasonable price. Like that was first and foremost. Um, and the other was my staff, which is paying, livable wages. You can't pay somebody minimum wage and expect them to support a family. And so my labor cost was higher than most restaurants and my food cost was higher than most restaurants, but I kept an eye on it. See, today's restaurant makes about 4%, right? Um, so if you have all your other things in line, yes, you can cut that and make more money, but I didn't want to do that, right? So we were making money, but we weren't making the kind of money we could have made if we did it the other way. And I refused to. So I fought with these partners every day and I got pushed out to the point that my health was so bad, I couldn't really walk. I mean, it was really bad. And so I didn't just leave that business, I left the restaurant business. And it was hard because I didn't just lose the job, I lost my entire
I
identity.
was going to say that has got to have been, I mean, you switched it already once. We already mentioned you were accountant to start, had kind of switched, and I'm sure there's a whole identity shift there going into the restaurant industry. But then again, sort of like you said too, being pushed out or not through 100% your own choice, leaving, having to grapple with, okay, now what's next? And when you did that, what did that process look like for you? Can you dive into that for a little bit? Because I think there's so many people that listen to this podcast that are in a place of either still in their corporate job or starting entrepreneurship. But we know that like macro, like economics right now is so hard with tariffs and just there's a lot of layoffs happening. And I think people are sitting in this place, and I've been there too, of saying, I know this isn't the end of my story. Like I know I believe in myself, but you kind of get in this place of like, I don't know what's next. Like, how do you stay grounded? And what did that look like for you to kind of figure out, okay, what comes next for me?
Um, well, it was more survival, I think,
Mm,
in
mhm.
the beginning because I had 2 kids in college and I was a single parent and I was supporting them entirely by myself. So I didn't have a choice but to figure out what I was going to do. And so that's why I decided to go back to my roots in accounting. And by the way, that's my superpower now because most other consultants don't have that strong financial background. So I don't just look at the marketing and I don't just look at, I look at everything. So we look at the whole picture and we see where you might be bleeding. So that has become a real superpower. And even when I went in the restaurant business, you got to know your numbers, right? Your numbers are your numbers
I mean,
and
you're
they are
preaching my
there,
like, this is yes, yes.
right? And if you don't know them, right, you don't know if you really can afford things. You don't know, if you're one step from closing the business, right?
Yes.
So it's really important to know your numbers, but also knowing your numbers as far as what part of your business is really creating the best revenue for you,
Yeah.
right? You're getting
Yeah.
the most ROI and what is actually draining you that you can cut. And all of a sudden now, you're making more money, you have more money, and you're like, wait, and it's one simple change. So
I mean, Wendy, that's what I tell so many of my clients too, working with their finances. I'm like, there's so much that focus on the top line. And it's the bottom line that, and really understanding their different service lines and what you're selling. Like some, maybe you think you're making a ton of money on the revenue side, but they're just draining you. So,
right.
and I think, I mean, this is kind of separate from where I intended to go, but I love this because it can be small tweaks to your point about growing your business, like that you can just like, if you focus on some of those like key numbers, it's not really hard, but it's just a lot of people don't do it. And so it's really just understanding what's important. And those small tweaks, like you said, can just really be eye opening and show you the data of where you need to focus. So,
And then let's take it one step further. It's the same thing when you look at your marketing, right? Where are you spending your time and your effort? This is organic at this point. I'm not even talking about running ads. Organic. Where are you spending your time and your effort? And what are you getting for that? And sometimes it's not necessarily being able to connect the dots because sometimes you can't, but you have to know why you're showing up, where you're showing up, and there has to be a purpose behind it. Am I trying to get clients? Am I trying to build authority? Like, what am I doing
yeah,
as opposed to just doing?
you start with, and this is why I often take a step back with a lot of my clients is, what is your goal? Like, why are you in business? Like if it is to exit in 5 years, is it to sustain, to be able to have flexibility to watch your kids? So that's, you're maximizing your time. Like, what is it? And then you build around that. And I always like to say numbers and marketing, any type of those KPIs are just data to show you, are you getting closer to those goals that you've set or further? But if you haven't set them to start, like you don't know where you're going along that. So to your point, marketing is another one, and hours of your time is a really important one to look at because that's the fastest track. So many people, entrepreneurs I know, fast track to burnout. You're not paying yourself and you're working a ton of time on stuff that's not returning. So like, how do we understand where you're really putting your time and what's the biggest ROI on that? So I'm like,
And I love what you just said because when I first started, don't forget, even though I was in business, I always thought people had like the same goal. Why do you start a business? I want to start a business because I want to make money and I want to, be able to support my family. And for me, like when I talk about the restaurants first, it was I just loved making people happy with food. Like I definitely there was like it was a passion and a fire. So that's one reason, right? That you want to feel like you're making a difference. And for some people, like they don't want to make $1 million, right? They are happy making enough money to pay their bills so they could take their vacation and have weekends and go to the kids' games and do all the things, right? So what you just said about what is your reason
yeah,
and then building
yeah.
your business around that, that is so key. That is such an important distinction right there.
We did not know we were going to be so aligned. I promise this wasn't plugged beforehand, but I agree because a lot of, I think, where my industry and the finances gets it wrong, and obviously you're in accounting too, so or history, so you know that too, is growth for growth's sake. You got to grow 20%. And that's where you get to public companies. That's what the goals are. But I'm like, that's not necessary. That's not what people are in business for. You need to be paying yourself. But it is, and a lot of who I deal with is solopreneurs too. So I'm like, you're not looking to grow a bigger team. That often brings more complexity and greater costs and lower margins. And so really under at the start of it is like, what's the why? And releasing, like we just talked about, okay, we can go back to your story and your identity, but the ego around bigger is better and happier and all that. And it's really, what is it? Again, at the very core of it, what are we doing? And so I love how you teach others that, but you've also lived it too. You've had to kind of say like, okay, like you talked about this with the restaurant industry, but then also having to reinvent yourself and figure out what you're doing is like, what, what am I good? What am I good at? What do I love doing? Who do I like serving? And then how do I bring that to the world too? Which it sounds like you've had to do kind of multiple times. And it's always an evolution. I guess I should ask you, but to me is what I always think it can feel like it's a pivot. And when I've done this in the past, it could feel like, oh, that wasn't right. Now I'm going to move left and then I'm going to move right. But what I've retrained my brain and really realized it's always an evolution forward. Like you're learning about yourself and it's like, what's the next? Does that resonate? Is that true for you too, kind of through all
100%.
these pivots?
That is so well said, right? It is I actually even called it a pivot, but you're right, it is an evolution. It is completely an evolution. When I started when I started consulting, it was because I went back to my roots in accounting, right? And consulting wasn't even something I had been thinking of, but I was working with somebody who said, "What are you doing? Like, you should be consulting." Like, because I was actually just giving them advice because it's what I do. And I have this business owner mentality, you know, always looking to see the best way to do things, the most, um, cost effective, that also is good for the business, right? You can't just cut costs just so, and I'm willing to do the work, right? So I was
Yes.
probably putting in more time than some of their other employees and just saying, "Oh, I see this or I see that." It was somebody who just said to me, "You should be consulting." I go, "Okay, I've never really done that before." But if I thought about it, all the advice and as I had these people who work for me who were starting off on other careers not in the restaurant business, or those who were looking to stay in the restaurant business and grow, I did work with people. Like
Yeah.
I not only did I love making my customers happy, but I felt like I was a mother hen to all of my staff, right? And
Yes.
I love that. So here I was again helping to guide people. So I don't call myself a coach because yes, will try and let people figure it out for themselves too, but more I'm like, "Okay, this is what we have to do."
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
now do it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I think it's like I always it's hard for me because I do blend I like to blend the coaching. The coaching for me is at the very start, hearing what people want what are their goals? It's all on them. Once they decide that, then they look for the advice or kind of the feedback of someone who's been there before. So it's like trying to juggle both sides of those. So I totally agree with you. It's like once you get that down, it's like, okay, here's what I've done before and here's the history and what I've learned before. So, and on that topic, I know we didn't talk about this beforehand, but I'm just curious, like what do you, for the clients that come to you that are asking, that you're helping, what are some of the things they really get stuck with? We've talked about the numbers. Is that one of the biggest things you think? Or like, where are people saying like it's the unlock that they're looking?
No, I actually don't. I think it is really figuring out what they wanna do or what they are doing, and they sometimes even think they know, so they don't realize that that's the block,
Yeah.
right? They're not growing, and I will tell you this, so in the beginning, I have all of this experience, right? Counting, growing restaurants, running teams, right? I can help so many people with so many different things, and I found this on Clubhouse. So what was happening is I would get on the Clubhouse stage and I would offer all of this advice, right? When I finally did start speaking, and I did it
Yes.
in the beginning. Right in the beginning, I was like, "Oh, who's going to want to hear from me?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. I
Um,
get you. Yep. Yep. It's crazy how
so
we minimize everything we know and all the yes, yes.
right,
Yep.
right. And so, if you know a little bit, somebody needs to hear what you have to say.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the more you start spreading your word, the more you start contributing and helping other people. Um, so I was giving advice. I was in the social media rooms giving social media advice. I was in the business rooms giving business advice. And I had this group of women who came and stayed with me because there was an event in Delray Beach. And one woman, I can't tell you how much time I spent with her. We were together every single day in multiple different rooms. So I would say I spent hours speaking with this woman every single day in these rooms. And she was at my house and she was looking at some of the awards I had on the walls and some of the things. And she said to me, Wendy, you give such great advice. Like, I really, I love when you're in the rooms and you're speaking. She goes, but do you mind if I ask you a question? Sure, you can ask me a question. What do you
Okay.
do?
It's like I feel like I know that where this is going only because I am deeply living like and that feels so true to me.
And what do you mean? What do I do? Right? And even when I say I'm a business consultant, that didn't really grow my business much further either because a business consultant for who? A business consultant for what?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So every I've even evolved up till now, right? Like recently I started concentrating more because I love AI. So I concentrate more on how to integrate AI into your business and how to show up for the AI,
Yes.
and I love LinkedIn. So it has to be LinkedIn related. Like so I feel like I've come to this intersection, but it was a evolution,
I
right? That got me to
yes.
this point. And now I really feel like I'm loving it. Like I love what I do. I wake up again excited, right? This whole thing. But I didn't start there, right? I didn't start there. And I didn't want a niche because I was afraid that I would put myself in a box. But if people don't know what you do, you're not going to be the one that people recommend
Wendy,
or the AI.
I wish I would have met you 4 years ago. I could not relate more to your story and exactly because a lot of people ask me, that former colleagues or people that I've met through like LinkedIn and stuff, are looking to leave their jobs and start their own solopreneur. And they're, how long will it take me to replace my salary? It's like basically the start of the questions. And I'm like, for me, you can, like you said, like frameworks and the KPIs and the numbers will be the numbers, and you can make them grow as fast or as slow as you want. With a lot of different, like, there's people out there that can do that. The hardest thing for me was figuring out who I wanted to work with, what I wanted to do, and switching my brain. There's a couple things I think, and that has taken me years, honestly. But I'm trying to release my like anger or frustration or guilt with my shame with yourself for like not being further along because forever I was a consultant before I left my last job, and my whole every ounce of feedback that I was given that was like saying I was doing a good job was if I could solve whatever problem came my way. And so when you take that mindset, and you bring that still like, I can solve all your problems, that does not work in entrepreneurship, to your point. And it can feel like the other thing, besides feeling like I'm saying no to people, is it's when you're taking it from, I'm like, I was so burned out. I got to a point before that, like, I wasn't happy with what I was doing. If I pick one thing, what if I don't love it? Like, what if that's not the thing? And then I'm going to switch again and switch again. And so that goes back to what we were talking about. I've had to retrain my brain and be like, that is not a switch. That's not a pivot. That's not you saying that you're never going to be happy with anything. That is the learning that you have to go through. And it's going to take as long as it takes until you can get, actually, what is it they call fail fast? I'm like, that's actually, you should just niche super far down until nope, 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 until you figure out what it is. So, anyways, thank you for
And it's scary to do that, though. It is scary to do that. It is very scary,
a
you
hundred.
know?
Yes. Well, so when people come to you, and this is what I like, how do you figure? So I just threw a bunch of stuff out there, but how do you figure out what it is? Is it just testing different things? Was that for you or people that you've talked to?
First, what do you wanna do,
Yeah.
right? And there's, like, a second part of that, which is just because you wanna do it doesn't mean it's a business,
Yeah. Does
because
the
if
market
you
need it?
right.
Yeah.
And I heard an example once where somebody said, like, I can train your cat to water your plants, but how many people need a cat that waters their plants, right?
That's so true. Yes. Do you even have
So
plants? I don't, yeah. Like,
right? And if you do you want the cat? And
yeah.
right? And who or I can train you to like, who wants to do that? So,
Yeah.
it's really important that whatever it is, you test it, and you can test it before you do, what's called the minimum viable
Yeah.
product. And what could you get out there that you can see, are people willing to pay for this? And that's the other thing. I mean, there's all these gurus and the marketing bros saying you should be charging $10,000. If you don't have the experience and you don't have the track record, you know,
Oh,
great if you can get it, but are you going to deliver people $10,000 worth of value? And if you can't, your business isn't going to grow. You may get that for a little while, but your business isn't going to grow the way it should because you're not doing like all the things. So I think you should price as much as you can get for what you're offering. Or maybe, I want to give extra value. I don't believe in under promising and over delivering. I believe in promising what you could think you could reasonably deliver and then trying to figure out how you can give just that little bit extra,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And keep in mind too that if you're always giving extra, this is really funny, but if you're always giving extra, it becomes not extra
It's
anymore.
just expected. It's like, oh, that's
It's
what, yeah.
expected.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I
Yeah.
learned that in the restaurant business as well. If I had a customer that every time they came in, I sent them out an appetizer because I liked them and they were regulars and they came in a lot. And then the kitchen was busy and I couldn't do it. Instead of like, oh, she must be busy, it was,
What
where's
happened?
my appetizer?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it becomes, I agree. I see that too, and I hate to categorize, but a lot of women too. Like I have some former, actually, my husband is the number one thing, but he's really good at articulating what value he has provided. Like he recognizes it and he can say it. And a lot of women I work with don't. To your point, they kind of, you over deliver and you kind of price to hear, but if the person doesn't know that you're doing all this stuff without even giving it to, without pricing it, like there's a lack of appreciation because they don't even know. And sometimes it's happening behind the scenes too. Like you're giving little bit stuff too. So a great
But I
point
think
too.
it's a woman, you said women, it's because that's not what we're taught. Right. And that just comes right from, all the things we're trying to change
Yeah.
in the workplace, right?
Yes.
Is to not, I don't want to say do it like a man does it. I want to say do it like a business person does
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
right? We need to learn, and it is a learning curve. I mean, it's definitely a learning curve, and especially if you don't have the education background in the finances or you don't have the education background in the marketing and you're just trying to provide that service that you do so
Yeah.
well, there's this whole other world you have to learn
Yeah.
that you were never taught, right?
Yeah.
And sales. Oh my God. Sales, I still like, I hate asking for money,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
But yet I know that I'm going to really help you. I know I am, right? There's no question. So it's that change of no longer looking at it as I am selling you my service, but I am actually you're gonna pay me to really, really help you, and you're gonna get more value than you'll ever pay me.
100%. I mean, we could go down a whole rabbit hole with sales, but I think
Yes, we can.
I'm like one of my heart, and it's so crazy how not I mean, you hear it all the time, but when you realize your own blockages, I'm like, that's absolutely I'm a numbers person, but when it comes to selling I mean, especially because I work with service-based people and I'm service-based too, is you're essentially
Right,
selling yourself. And so how do you value
right,
yourself, especially when you want it to be relationship driven? I'm not trying to do cold calls and just have a ton of clients come through that I don't really know. Like I really deeply want to know them and support them and like grow their business with them. But what that means is I need to have a relationship driven business, but that is this is what you owe me. This is what, kind of like really clear boundaries around that. And I think a lot of times when it's something, and we go back to your story too, like the evolution of like, what are you good at? What do you like doing? When it's something you're really good at and you love it, it's counterintuitive often to say, this is a service that I'm going to charge for. It's like, oh, it's easy. And so, but that doesn't mean it's not valuable to the other person and that they would absolutely happily pay to have someone who can provide those services for them because
and
it's
it's easy
not
for
something they
you,
love.
not for them, right? It's
Yes.
easy for you.
Yes, exactly. And
Yes.
so yeah, everything you've brought up, I'm like, yep, 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 yep. And so I think for me, I just feel better that, hey, it's not just me, obviously. And so if you're listening, it is not just you. It is like, these are the things. But I think the first step I always say is awareness. So if like you see this continue to do, it doesn't mean it's easy to change it, but just being aware that these are the things that typically stop people, especially earlier on when you're in your entrepreneurship. I think those of us that went to college, got a degree, maybe started out on the traditional corporate path, oftentimes you can think, oh, I've got it all. Like this should be easy to switch. I certainly did. I'm like, I've got all the education. I've done it in big businesses. It's these type of things that are the hardest things when you go into entrepreneurship is selling yourself and figuring out your pricing and who do you want to serve? Like those things are the hardest things. You've got all the frameworks and everything else that can help you build the business. So,
Right.
no, I just appreciate you bringing all that up.
And I will tell you, I had visited, an old manager of mine when I first started consulting, and I said, and I use these words, "I really suck at sales." And he goes, "Are you kidding me? You're a great salesperson." I said, "Not at all." And then he talked to me about all, like, the different parties I sold and all the different things I was doing for all the different restaurants and doing this, and I didn't look at it as selling,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
looked at it as providing a service.
Yeah.
So, stop looking at providing your service as selling and looking at it as providing a
Yeah.
service.
How can I help these people that need what I can provide? I love that. And it really is an unlock too, because I think that's like, oh, absolutely. There's someone out there that needs me to help them. It needs me to help
Yes.
them. So find them. Um,
And if you don't, you're selfish,
Jazz hands.
right?
What? No, what? Yes. No, but really, people need
Yep.
your help. And so I want to pivot a little bit and get to social media, which I know your book, your that's coming out today is about. But I think that's what stops people from talking, especially when you go out on your own about what you do, because you think, oh, I'm coming across to like I'm salesy. You're just letting people know what like they need you, honestly. And the people that think you're too salesy are the ones that don't even need you. So like, who cares? Honestly, like they can, so it is developing a little bit of that thick skin. But to your point, like, yeah, shame on you if you're not helping those people that need you and finding them out there. So, um, I do want to talk about the book that you have coming out today.
Yay.
It's about LinkedIn, right? It's focused
It
on
is.
LinkedIn.
I
Yeah,
thought
do you
I
have?
had one here, but I don't, so I can't
Sure.
even pick it up and show you.
Um, what's the title? Can you?
It's called Comment Currency:
I love
How to
that.
Use the Comment Section to Grow Your Business, Get Visibility, and really create opportunity that's just possible with LinkedIn when done right.
Can you tell me why LinkedIn? There's so many social media, and we already talked about Clubhouse that's come, and I guess it's still there, but why
Yeah.
LinkedIn as the primary one?
Well, for me, when I got on LinkedIn, I just felt like I found home. Um, it was business people talking business. And people on Clubhouse have been telling me to get on LinkedIn for a while, and I just thought it was a resume site,
Yep.
and
Same.
it is not.
Yep.
It is literally the world's biggest networking, relationship building platform.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. I love that. And I think for me, I tried to spread myself too thin and all the things. And, again, when you're starting off, you're finding what you feel best with. But I couldn't agree more, especially the people that I wanna be talking to and that have the history that I have and I wanna build relationships with, like, I thought it was just the place exactly. When I was looking for my next job, you just put the open to work
And your
sign on and
resume goes to die.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I will say LinkedIn in the last 5 years has really come a long way too, and my experience with it is such a place to develop relationships, to have conversations, to explore deeper thoughts, not other than just, like your update in your job. Like there's so much going on there that I couldn't agree more. It's my number one spot. Your so for those that don't know LinkedIn, your title is about commenting. What is so important about that, or why is that aspect of LinkedIn really important for people to focus on?
Well, I think first when people get on LinkedIn, they're just told to post, post a lot, post a lot. And I also think when you first get on LinkedIn, there's this hesitation, which I don't find on the other platforms, but oh, what if I look silly? Right.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like CEOs and
Yes.
executives,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah.
That like make $1 million deals over breakfast are like, I can't
What do
post
I
on
have to
LinkedIn,
say?
right? Or or
Yeah.
or, or I'm gonna get judged,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Um, but LinkedIn, you want to be posting on LinkedIn. Let me just say that. You definitely want to be posting on LinkedIn because that's where your authority gets built. And LinkedIn is very heavy in SEO. So search engines are picking, Google's been picking up LinkedIn forever. And now the AIs are as well. So you want to be there posting. Let me just say that. But here's what happened. When I first got on LinkedIn, I was one of those people who didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to post. At the time that I got on, there was this feature they had called collaborative articles. And collaborative articles was they took when AI and the LLMs first came out, like ChatGPT, they would take an article that was written by AI, they would post it, and they would say, "What's missing from this? What would you add?" You know, and because I thought originally I thought it was because they were training their AI, and that wasn't it at all. They just it was for SEO
Yeah.
purposes. So I would, give my take on what was missing. And again, having a wealth of knowledge from just running businesses, it was very easy for me to get in there and be like, well, and I would also add this, or I would say, I could be a little contrarian with certain things, but it was very easy for me to respond. What I realized is one, it's easier because you're not starting from scratch. You're joining conversations that are already happening. They stopped the collaborative articles, but what I realized that I was getting more traction when I was commenting on other people's
Yeah.
posts
Yeah.
and when I was responding to my own,
Mm.
right? So
Interesting.
somebody would leave
Yeah.
a comment on mine, and I see all the time where people just like post and ghost. And I don't care what platform you're on. If somebody's taking the time to leave you a comment,
Respond.
acknowledge it.
Yeah,
Acknowledge it.
for sure.
Um,
I like that too because I think commenting for me, and now I've been posting for a while, but when you first start out, to your point, it can feel like, what do I have to say? This is ridiculous. Like, people are like, first of all, your post is not even getting to a lot of people. So, like,
well,
remove
that's
that.
exactly what I was
Like,
gonna say.
it's not getting distributed to half the people you think it is. So, that's one thing. But for me also, I didn't really know what my voice was. I didn't know like what I cared strongly about, what I didn't. Also, while you're trying to figure out who you're serving and stuff, it can be a really good way, to your point, is responding. A lot of us have thoughts on what someone else says. And so to be able to add to that, you're like refining and figuring out what the topics are you care about or what comes easy to respond to. And that's a really good way to start getting your voice and your content pillars, as they call them, I think, like
Exactly.
realized. Um,
Exactly.
and then the other thing you said too is, as we know, LinkedIn at the beginning of this year, I believe, came out with their new algorithm, 360 Brew. And one of the main things is what we're seeing a lot of, which is why your book is so timely, is comments are actually getting way more views and impressions than sometimes often like original posts. So because you're then being seen by so many others of that poster's audience that
Well, that's the secret sauce right there, is that when you post, you are, for the most part,
yeah,
exposing to your audience,
yeah,
and when you comment, you've now opened yourself up to that poster's audience, plus anybody else who may have commented
yeah,
already. So that's one of the whole things is you get this wider audience. But to your point, you start to feel, what do I really want to talk about? How do I want to say this? And it's easy to say, well, I agree with you because, or here's what I also found, right? Which is basically what I was doing with the collaborative articles,
Yeah.
but now on other people's posts. And it just seems easier to do that, right? Just to, and quicker because you're just commenting. You're not thinking about it, overthinking it. What picture do I
Yes.
put with it, right?
I
Do I do a carousel for this one? Right? You're not
those
overthinking. You
which
just
I kind of
respond.
like about or not I kind I do like about LinkedIn. So I often include images, but a lot is text only. So if it's like if that's the thing stopping you, just do it. And I love where you said too, especially the contrarian, not to just for the
Hmm.
sole purpose of being contrarian, but
Right.
if there's something that someone posts that you're like, "Oh, I actually think that this or they left this out," there's a post for you. There's your idea right there is like,
Exactly right. That's what I was
know,
going to say next.
take note of that. And it's not you pulling, it's like your own idea, but you're like, "Oh, I think this is like, there's a thing." And if your comment gets a ton of traction and you see a lot of people liking it, there's a post for you. So it is a way to, besides just seeing what is coming naturally to you and figuring out your
Exactly.
voice, is like, it's fodder for all of your own posts that you might be able to do.
Oh, 100%. There are times I'm writing a comment and I go, oh, that would be a really good post. And by the way, if you do that, make sure you have in your phone like a notes app because you know how many times I've done that and then I forgot. Oh, I'll remember. And then I
True.
forgot. So,
True. I'll have,
yes.
so I just as a side note too, I use Publer as my, I just because I can write in there and it'll automatically post in the mornings, and it's one that LinkedIn accepts, so they're not like denying, but it has a notes app. So same thing, and I so it has an app on my phone, so I can just like I just keep ideas. It's called ideas, and then you can just convert them into posts in there too. So I love that too. So it's made the flow so much easier too, because I think that is a lot of things. Like people are like, I
Interesting.
don't have time, like I like coming up with the ideas, thinking of the images, figuring out when to post, comment, like all that stuff. And so it can make it, you can, if you can remove all the friction and really just focus on the high impact things, like what you've said, which is commenting. If you, if something's gaining traction, turn it into a post, a text only post, even that just gets it out there, but it starts just kind of raising the awareness of you, what you want to talk about, kind of what you're standing for. So, um, no, love
And
that.
the other thing would go when you were saying how LinkedIn, so 360 Brew actually came out, I think it was early 2025, but people didn't know about it.
Got it.
And I only know because I read an article that LinkedIn put out about it. Um, but what it is, just for people who are listening, instead of having multiple algorithms that figure out what you want to see, what you want to
Yeah.
hear, what you want to do, it's one. And it's got a like a billion little points to it or something, but it reads context. So it sees what you're looking at,
Yeah.
what you're talking about, and then it tries to give you that information. Part of the problem with that is what I've seen, and I know that they're working on it, is if you like a couple of posts in the same genre, that's all you're getting seen,
Yeah.
and that's all you're being shown. That's a problem. But so LinkedIn then added analytics to your comments. That's the part that was like, wow, when I felt that this book was super timely because they're saying comments are really important. And then Dan Roth, editor in chief, came out and started saying, like, comments are crucial on LinkedIn. Like, that's the gold. It's in the comments. And I was like, this is, you know, and the other thing I will tell you is a lot of times I see somebody's post, somebody I'm not following, somebody who's a second connection, because one of my first connections commented on the post, and then I will see, oh, Brooke commented on this
Yeah.
post. And
Yeah.
then I see the post. I'm like, oh, this is a great post. Now I have somebody new to follow.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And so,
I love that.
commenting is gold.
I love that too, because I think, again, back to if you're just starting out and trying to grow your business, you're one of the hard things for me for a while was like, who do you connect with? Like, how do you reach out and connect people? And this is just a really good way with when you combine the algorithm with the type of content you're posting, it's kind of bringing it to you. It's bringing it up. So it's really just, it puts you in a place to just even more easily, you're just responding. You're responding to the stuff that's coming up too. Now, certainly the next level is the outreach and really getting strategic with who you're connecting with. But if you have limited time, I love that. It is like it's really LinkedIn now is meant to just kind of spoon feed you the content that you're reacting to and responding to and the type of comments that you're making. So I've found in the last couple months, it's brought a lot of new people into my world because of that too, without me having to like kind of find them and like sift through, like back to
And
the
isn't that
relationship
lovely?
stuff. Yes, I really
Community, that's what LinkedIn is really about, community, relationships, networking,
Wendy, it's how I
you
met
know?
you. It's great. Yes.
Yes.
It's like
Yes, see?
I equate it to, like I feel like I just, like, am online dating now because it's like there's so many everyone I meet is online, but it's so lovely too. It's like, you take that offline too. Obviously, you and I had conversation one-on-one, but there's so many people I just have conversations with, even it's only through commenting on, posts and stuff. That's the only way I've ever interacted with someone, but, like, I feel like I get to know them pretty well, so it really is a wide open world there if you're trying to grow a business and
So,
make connections.
in addition to my consulting business, I also have a membership called Content Circle, and I have a business partner with that. Her name is Stacy,
Stacy,
and I met her because of LinkedIn.
see?
Now, I will tell you I met her live in an event, but I was at the event because of other people that I connected with from LinkedIn. And so I went to the event because of those relationships, and I met her, and we became more friendly because I drove her to the airport, but then we stayed in touch on LinkedIn, and then I had this idea for this business, and I'm like, "You know what? She would
Give
be the
someone
perfect person," and I reached out to her, and she said, "I've been thinking of it doing that," right? And so we just did it together,
that
but
is
that's because of LinkedIn, and now we're helping other people create content that moves the needle, not content for the sake of creating content, but content that showcases your expertise, that tells people why you're the person that they should work with, content that actually converts. So, all because of LinkedIn,
love
right?
that. There's I think mutual connection. I know Liam Darmody, he's posted a lot on LinkedIn too, but he keeps calling it the serendipity or serendipity manifestation or something platform. But
Right.
it's like, yeah, it just and I think that's true. Just I mean, take it off of LinkedIn too, but just back to kind of following the breadcrumbs of what you enjoy, what you like. You never know where it's going to lead, the people it's going to introduce you to, and then the new business
Yes,
opportunities. So I love the
exactly.
fact that you're not going to figure it all out. Like if you're in a pivot place, if you're just starting off, you're not going to have all the answers, but you're not supposed to. You're just supposed to kind of try, evolve, figure out what works for you, figure out what you like, and then see what comes up from there and make decisions based on that. So, LinkedIn being
In
one of those.
a it's funny that you say that because he was actually at that same event.
Hey.
But the reason I went was, Kevin D. Turner,
Hmm.
who is the ultimate, like, if you wanna know everything going on with LinkedIn, he
Yes.
knows,
Yes.
and, Melissa Cohen, and we
Yes.
went to Donnie Boyvin's event, and I will tell you that we have done our own events since then. So we did these Own Your Spotlight Summits, and it's all because of the people I met because of LinkedIn, right? So and I will tell you this, I've also been invited to speak from stages because of LinkedIn. Like somebody saw something or they saw me at an event, then they looked me up on LinkedIn. So that's when I say opportunity. You
Yeah.
need to get out there and show yourself and be present. And the best way to do that, again, I will say is the comments,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But comments alone are not good.
Yeah.
You want to comment because people see you, they get to know your name. But then when they go over to your profile, there's got to be something there of
Yeah.
substance
I agree.
that
Yeah.
shows why they should work with you, why should they hire you, why should they invite you, whatever it is that's your end goal, why?
I
And
agree.
that's where the posting comes in.
I mean, to summarize the last 10 minutes, don't sleep on LinkedIn. It is the place to be. There's a lot to do. There's so much to know. And there's people like you, Wendy, which are like just an incredible resource to reach out to figure out like all the layers of it. But commenting being one of the easy entry points into trying to get your feet wet on the platform. You mentioned your content circle. Can you talk? So, somebody who's listening who's like, yep, I need everything that Wendy, where can they find you? What kind of, just remind us what your book's called and then where they can find you to work with you in other avenues.
So the best place to find me is on LinkedIn. And
Ironically
if
enough.
and if you want to say that you saw me on Brooke's podcast when you do a reach out, please do.
Yes.
But I'm really good at accepting connection requests as long as it's, Oh, and never pitch live. Let's talk about the pitch live real quick.
Okay. Yep.
Don't
That's a
reach
good
out to
one.
somebody and then try and sell them your services. That's a pitch lab. Reach out to somebody with building relationships. You never know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that I said that.
Thank you. I'm almost hesitant to accept connection requests because I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, yeah.
Right.
I need
Right. So
what's
you look
coming
and
after you
you,
accept. Yes. Yep.
yep. Oh,
Uh,
you know what I do now? I pitch slap them back.
oh, that's a
Yeah.
good Oh, okay. That's a good
Thank you for reaching out.
here's what
I appreciate
here's what I'm selling also.
it. Right?
Oh,
if
Wendy,
you
yes, this
if
is
you
so
want to
good.
show up without spammy DMs.
Oh my God. Here you go.
But no. So yes, LinkedIn definitely the best place to get me, but I'm also at wendyshore.co.
WendyShore.co
The book, yeah.
and the book.
Wendyshore.co,
A-
SHORE.
And remind us again one last time what the title of the book?
And the book is Comment Currency:
Comment
How to
Currency.
Use the Comment Section on LinkedIn to Grow Your Business and Create Opportunity and Visibility.
I love it. I love it. This is very timely. I'm excited, one, for us to talk on the day that it's coming out, but more so just broader. It's, LinkedIn is pushing it. So I think this book is very timely in general to come out, and all of your links we'll include in the show notes. So for any of you listening, just go ahead to the show notes. We'll have the links in there. You can get in contact with Wendy. And like she said, she's very active on LinkedIn. So if you're not active on there, just come on over and dip your toe in and connect with us.
And I'll tell you a little secret. If you use a QR code on the back, there will be a place where you can sign up. Just show me a receipt that you got the book, and I will invite you to a free masterclass on how to use the comment section to grow your business.
Love that. When is the masterclass, or is it ongoing?
So it's going to be in May, and I will probably do another, since we're launching now,
Yes.
but I will probably do another one. And then after that, I will be still continuing to do them, but not offering them free as part of the book. But I do want to let people who have bought the book come
Yeah.
to the class for free.
I
Normally
love
it's
that.
$497.
Awesome. Great deal. It's like we said too, it's the big unlock. So if you can start just doing that and learning how best to leverage that, it's not critical, but yes, very important and can grow your business. So, thank you, Wendy. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for chatting. I always appreciate, I love our conversations. So I feel like I could talk to you for another hour, but we will include all this in the show notes, and I just appreciate what you've shared. And like 2026, I can't wait to see what else it brings for you. So many good
The
things.
60th birthday, that's what it's going to bring.
Okay, we'll do a live event. Can you do a live event on LinkedIn then too to celebrate?
Sure. Let's do that. We can have a party. Okay.
There you go. Put it on there.
Birthday party. I like it.
I like
Good
it too.
idea.
I know. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey there. If this episode sparks something for you, I'd really love to know. Shoot me an email or leave me a comment on the episode. Those messages really do mean more to me than you realize. And if you're craving more clarity in your business or your career, you can explore ways to work together at www.scalewithclarity.com. You guys, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to the episode. I always love recording these and sharing them with you, and looking forward to seeing you on the next episode of Scale with Clarity.